The Pies and Power played off in a game of the year according to Fly and King Ken, while Charlie Curnow booted the roof off Marvel Stadium with a career-high 10. Brisbane's top four solidifying win over the Cats was soured by Will Ashcroft injury blow, while Toby put the Giants on his shoulders to lead them to their 6th win in a row. Another Essendon loss they'll regret Freo's season to forget, and Ross isn't happy that Marvel's seats are wet. Dissecting round 19 and looking towards the final 5 rounds of the season, where only 6 points separate 5th from 12th. This is Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub, with, according to an article this week, St Kilda triple best and fairest winner Lee Montagna.
Hello, Rabsy. Yeah, I'll take that. Who wrote that today? You or Rudy?
I wrote that. I always write the intros.
Very good.
Rudy writes the Fugazis. I write the intros.
Very, very good.
Channel 7's leading special comments expert, Dale Thomas.
Oh, thank you very much, Rob. It's well done to you. That's very good. And we need to talk to Joey in a minute because... well, the war of words just continues to go.
And chairman of the Australian Rules Media Association, who have their awards coming up very soon, Damo. It is Damien Barrett.
And I've got to get to a meeting about that after this show today.
Am I a chance for any award?
Everyone's a chance. It's all open. Everyone's open.
Will you accept
Unless
cash
you work
bribes?
for Triple M.
I won't, but I'm assuming others will.
Okay,
No, we
well,
shouldn't even joke about that. No, we won't.
You need to be keeping tabs of your own best work and send it in. That's the secret, Daisy. So
Pretty
have you
hard.
kept a little, is anyone in your family, your mum or your fiance, anyone kept a little tab of all your best stuff?
Or yourself, like others do.
No.
No, that's the key.
He's,
No,
okay.
that's-
Well, this is advice I need to be told before the year starts.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm the same.
It's too late if you haven't got it in front of you right
I'm
now.
not sure how the conversation with Tash would go if I said, look, just cast an eye over me best stuff on the weekend.
Yeah, Triple M often, this is historical as opposed to what could happen this year. The manner of the work of Triple M, it doesn't necessarily get reflected in the way some awards get judged.
Yeah, we don't, do we take ours seriously enough?
Look, we do, but we don't even bother adding best commentator for radio anymore because we never win that.
Right,
It always
okay.
goes to a
One of
couple
the
of other mobs.
Well, maybe because the special comments people keep talking over the top of the callers when the big moments come.
Yes.
And it spoils
Or maybe
it.
it's your sour face when the Pies win.
Why do you hate commentators?
It's an interesting question. You've got a lot of hate. And now we probably need to get to the bottom of this because is everything all right?
Yeah.
So you hate the Pies.
Stop saying that because
you
people
started
believe
a
it.
war of words with Kane.
Yep.
Rui started it, and now you've just gone again. And it's I don't know where it's coming
You've
from. You
demoralised-
seem like a happy man. But
Yes.
Demoralised Brett Ratton again.
Yes.
You and your St Kilda Mafia mates.
Oh, yeah, you're the one that keeps going with that. They've got this Mafia going. Yeah, Brett Ratton, he's a bit flat, didn't he, Rats? He
And
really wanted to
understandably.
win, Rats. And
You're a Hall of Famer, and you're saying his standards are shit.
yeah, exactly. I love it how the people...
Three-time BNF winner.
Yes.
You're pumping up your own stats and cutting his down.
No, Rui spoke about it on Footy Talk. We spoke about Footy Talk. It went viral last week, and people tried to make it personal between Rui and Rats, and
Which it
Damo
was.
one of them.
And also Rui and Kane, and you and Kane, and you and everyone in the Mafia against everyone else.
Everyone else. We learn it's a 4-day cycle. It gets good traction, particularly when Kane's onto it. It sort of just rides the wave for as long as he can, and we got a week out of it. But I think it's all been put to bed now. We've learnt, Daisy, don't try and pick Kane. Don't take on Kane. You're never
What do
going
you
to win.
mean?
You had
I've already won and zip against him. Don't tell
you
me
still
what
had
to
a
do.
TKO against Kane.
Yes. I hope he's not listening to this.
No, all good. So, no, it was all, it sort of got a bit out of hand, and Rui put it in
Did it
context
what?
yesterday.
He did do a good job yesterday, but I'm not sure about the backtracking out of the Kane feud. I thought you were just going to pile on again.
Oh,
you
no,
and
no,
him.
no, he's very
Joey and
clever.
Rui just come at him.
That's what
and
you meant to do in media.
No, he's very clever, Kane. He's very good at what he does. So
he's got you. He's got you bluffed.
So you're conceding
Conceding what? What?
that he wins?
Yep.
A walk-off.
It wasn't against me. It was against
No,
him. I was just hosting.
Your fingerprints are all over
There's
this.
fracturing in the Mafia.
I was just hosting the show. But anyway, all went very well. There's plenty of footy to be talking about.
I know about
Yeah,
footy. We'll
yeah,
get to footy in a minute.
yeah.
What about another media story? Tom Browne taking off
Yes,
from Channel 7.
I know.
Tried to get him on the sounding board yesterday because that's a media product. And Jade Neal, the producer, rang him. He said no comment until post-season.
So is he going to? He's not going to speak. We can't get him to break his silence.
Well, he's going to have to because we've got him boundary riding on Friday night.
Will he
and
show up, though?
Yeah.
Because he wasn't there the other week. He was chasing Gill around.
That's what he was too. They threw to him and he wasn't
and he
there.
wasn't there in
so that's what
gather
he
round.
wanted
Gather
this
round, he had
weekend.
bigger
You know,
priorities.
when we're looking back, he really had checked out, hadn't he?
Damon, he gave a no comment on his own podcast on Monday on Triple M.
Did he really?
really?
On his own
Yes,
podcast.
on
I
his
spoke to Rudy
own
about that. I didn't know that was an on-air off no
That was
comment.
on air, no comment on his own
No
podcast.
comment on his own. What's he trying to do?
I don't know. It's genius. I love it.
Is he trying to get a financial, some sort of someone to pay him?
Or
to
not
speak
break
out?
his silence for money.
Yes, that's right. Who's going to take over? We need someone who's going to look at.
Well,
We're going to go
Mitch is,
internal or a triple
Well,
M?
Herald
though?
Sun
Channel
have got
7 he
3
will.
days of articles out of it. So
Yeah.
Sarah Ollie's up there.
I saw that.
Yeah.
We're going to have an internal one, or are we going to look externally at Triple M?
Oh, you're talking about Triple M
For
or
Triple
7?
M.
Yeah.
No, Channel 7, it's pretty obvious. There was a handover already going ahead, wasn't there? The Mitch Cleary,
They were,
the succession plan.
it's a healthy relationship, those two. Hey? Yeah.
We do have a name in our mind, but we won't let you know.
Oh, hello.
Is it Warwick Kappa?
It's not the Wiz.
Okay.
Go on.
No, we can't. No comment.
Oh,
Of course. Hey, there is plenty of news kicking around as you try to divert
Yes.
all the attention, Joey, including Will Ashcroft's knee and Charlie Curnow. Is he better without Harry McKay? That's all going to come up next with Damo's news on the Midweek Rub. Fair Dinkum or Fugazi plus your round 20 predictions still to come. But Damo, it is time for some news, and unfortunately for the Lions, one of their young stars went down over the weekend.
Yeah, Will Ashcroft, Rabsy, as we know, just walked into this team in round 1 as a starting midfielder and stayed there all the way through until his ACL went late on the weekend, just gone. It's a sad footy story. It's a problem for him, given he's now going to miss 12 months and the progress he's made inside his first season of footy. But what it now does is pose a problem that can be solved by Chris Fagan with his new attitude this year. He's been prepared to drop Gunston and Rich. He's also allowed Jack Payne to take the main forward from the opponents from a shutdown perspective, and that's allowed Harris Andrews to come through. I want to put it to you two guys, and you're the footy experts. Tell me if this is feasible, at least to a point. Cam Rayner had a knee injury himself 2 years ago, also effectively was number one draft pick. Will Ashcroft effectively was under the father-son arrangements. Is he part of the solution when it comes to filling the role in the midfield? Not for an entire game. I don't think he's got the tank to do it for a whole game. But is he one of the many options he's got? Jared Lyons is another. Devon Robertson another.
Yeah, look, I think he's part of the solution. He was tried a fair bit in the midfield earlier in the year and wasn't able to impact enough, but maybe as a pinch hitter. And it depends on what method they want to take. Because I'm like you, I don't think it's a massive blow for Brisbane to try and win this flag. I think they've got enough weapons to cover. So whether it is a Zach Bailey or a Dane Zorko could play more through there, Cam Rayner. Jared Berry's not playing much as an inside mid anymore, but he's shown that he can do it. So for me, I'm looking for which player for Brisbane can stand up, put their hand up and say, I'm going to take this by the scruff of the neck and be this extra inside mid that's going to help the Brisbane Lions.
So not a disaster from a premiership
I
perspective?
don't think so. I think they can cover. I think they've got enough depth and enough weapons that they can cover.
Do you see it the same way?
Yeah,
as in
very much
it's
the
not
same.
a crisis?
Will Ashcroft, a very good young player, but he's not winning games off his own boot. There's someone that you can unfortunately replace, and we all know that's how the industry works, one out, one in. The Cam Rayner piece is interesting because I think if he actually has impact, I sort of see him like a Jordan DeGoey with his power through in and around, then to go forward, kick goals. If he can elevate himself, there's no reason why he couldn't be a big factor in where Brisbane finished this year.
And at the start of the year, he was used and had prepared to be used as a defender, and that didn't work. He was then put forward, and there were moments of brilliance, as there often is with Cam. As you say, he's been used in the midfield. It comes a critical point now. If they can just find a little target for him, their little project, to just absolutely immerse himself in as part of the machinations around recovering for Ashcroft, it could really actually be a bonus that it's happened in the timing and the way, with Rayner's progress through the game.
A point of difference, really, too. That, as you said, powerful in the midfield, can push forward, because he hasn't really hit his straps, has he? Like, he showed a glimpse when he moved forward earlier in the year, and we thought, wow, maybe. But then he's just tapered off, and it's a pretty hard forward line to stand out when you've got so many avenues to goal. But yeah, he is one. That's what I'm saying. I'm looking for someone. We know what Neil and Dunkley are going to do. They'll keep doing what they've done forever. But who can stand up for Brisbane come finals time and be the man that can win a game off their own boot or turn a game or do something that they're going to need to go from being a very good team to being a great team to try and win this flag?
And I'll get Zach Bailey back in 2 weeks' time. I don't believe he'll be available this week for the Q Clash. But again, that will be another layer to what they do.
And I imagine Fags would go with sort of a Rayner first, and if that doesn't work, you then go to the tried and proven. So whether it's then Zorko after that, but I think the option is there.
Yeah. Charlie Curnow has now kicked, as we know, 19 of his 61 goals against the West Coast Eagles. I just throw that in as a byproduct of what we were going to discuss here. Harry McKay obviously may not play again this year, and if he does, it won't probably be until the very last match or the first final if they make it. This conversation is not about Harry McKay staying as a Carlton player, which other people are having. Is Charlie Curnow, though, better personally without Harry McKay in the team?
I think so. I think he's loving, and whether it's better or just he's seeming that way, but I think he's loving the responsibility. It all falls onto his shoulders now to be the number one. And you see the way he plays. It's not necessarily how he operates off the field, But once he gets on there and puts sort of the Superman cape on, his shoulders back, and he's someone that says, right, kick me the ball. I'm the number one man. I think without Harry there, he's certainly relished in that role.
Personally, he's better. Is it better long-term for the team to only have the one big banana? Because as much as he's kicking goals, everything's going to go through him. You look at all the premiership teams recently, Cameron and Hawkins, or Lynch and Rewalt and Kennedy Darling, that sort of combination. You might need the two. I think you still need two. I mean, up until round 17 last year, they were averaging 5.5 goals between them, Curnow, McKay. Like, it was pretty potent. And then, yes, Harry's had a really disappointing year, but I still think long-term, two's better than one.
Yep.
I don't mind the fact that if you know where the ball's going, the smalls can then get to work. When you got the two big boys, there's a little bit of indecision, and you see with the Carlton ball movement going forward, sometimes they're not quite sure. They'll go to one just because they're there rather than being in the best spot. So from a small forward point of view, like a bit like when we had Travis Cloak, you just get long down the line because you know that's where it's going.
So what do you think is better for Carlton? To have just Charlie and then some variety, or to have Charlie and Harry?
I think the best thing for Carlton would be Charlie and Harry, because if one gets held, which we've seen throughout the last couple of years, the other one can get off the leash.
Yep. And he hasn't yet started the 7-year new deal he's got, Harry, and as we know, he's injured. Sam Taylor, we discussed him this time last week. We've discussed him semi-regularly this year. Still only got 11 games next to his name in this season, but they've been a very good 11 games of footy. He's got 5 remaining. Add those 5 to it, just for the sake of the argument. And again, I know I asked you this question relatively recently, Joey. All Australian for him? Only got 11 games to his name right now.
Yeah, I know. So he's going to finish with 15.
16
would it be? Yeah. Is that enough? I tell you what he is, though, Damon. He's a freak. He's gone from being a very good player to being a
And we're talking about the GWS key defender for those who aren't familiar with the name, and that's part of the story about him. He could walk into this studio even, and we may not know who he is.
To give you just a couple of numbers, Daisy, pretty simple. He's been in 44 one-on-one contests. He's won 27 defensive one-on-one contests and lost 3. So he's in a one-on-one against the forward. He's won 27.
And it's usually the best forward.
And he's lost 3. That is by far number one in the competition for winning him and for losing him, like by far. It's almost double roughly the average of key defenders. So it's phenomenal what he's doing. I mean, I thought Alex Rance was a freak, how often he could win one-on-ones and those sorts of things. But I tell you what, Sam Taylor is a freak. In 16 games, if he keeps going at this rate, it'd be hard to leave him out.
Well, Tom Stewart played 17 home and away last year, and he was All-Australian.
Yeah.
After the suspension.
Heath Shaw, when he came out of the game, said this bloke will be the best fullback in the competition. So I've been keeping a closer eye than most, because he does sort of go into the abyss up there as a GWS player, but he is unbelievable.
Yep. And not a lot has gone right. In fact, next to nothing has gone right for North Melbourne this year. Just want to put it out there with the two footy experts that Luke Davies-Uniacke might be someone who could actually proudly say, I've done what I can under all these circumstances. And I thought his game last week against St Kilda was quite phenomenal. I thought he was best on ground by some way. I know Jack Steele got his team over the line in the last quarter, but not through any fault of Luke Davies-Uniacke.
He stood out, didn't he?
And you've been on him, Joey. You've been on him early.
Yeah, he was the class above. Look, they've got a superstar that they can build around. I'm still a bit more half glass full than some others about the Kangaroos, because...
Why?
Well, I do still see a lot of positives. Like, as I said, they've got a superstar in Davies-Uniacke. Nick Larkey's coming third in the Coleman.
Yep.
I think that's a big win for a side that's been
as
bad as they have. I think Will Phillips has shown that he's going to be a player. Wardlaw, we know, and Sheasel, we've spoken about. I still think there's enough there I like. It's just that they've just got to break this cycle of losing somehow, and hopefully that's Clarko next year. It's the big mental hurdle.
There's no guarantee it'll be West Coast this week.
No, I know. I'm thinking more long-term, next year, the next 2 years. I still see a lot of positives about their list, and I know Daisy agrees. It's just something's got to break for this cycle to just start to get this winning momentum that is hard to find.
You've got to learn how to win.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. And as simple as that sounds, it is a lot harder to do. You got to figure out when you put yourself in these moments where you can win a game or lose it, and then figure out a way as to why it's going one way and or the other. And on the weekend, it was from a complete lack of being able to score in that last quarter. They had the ball down there, but the forward line wasn't functioning, and then St Kilda scored on the back of that. So I'm like you, Joey. I think they can improve pretty quickly.
Round 20 kicks off on Friday night with Collingwood versus Carlton. It is a huge mini rivalry round with a Q clash as well as the showdown. But up next, it is fair dinkum or Fugazi on the Midweek Rub. The run home to finals starts on Friday night, Collingwood versus Carlton in round 20. We'll get your predictions very, very soon. But right now, it is time for everyone's favourite segments.
Now on the Midweek Rub, it's...
Yeah, Fugazi, it's a wazi, it's a woozy, it's a...
I'm going to start with you, Joey Montagna. Port Adelaide proved a Nick Daicos tag can work.
That is fair income. They showed in that first half that you can nullify his influence. Just the 11 disposals. I think he only had 4 score involvements, and they did a pretty good job on him. So I think that has shown not only Port, but the rest of the competition, you actually can limit him if you put someone on him to follow him.
I think it's weather dependent. I think dry weather, it becomes a bigger task than what it was on that night. When players are fumbling the ball and he's very much a where the ball's going to be sort of player, reliant on people getting it, then getting the secondary touch. I think it worked a lot because of conditions.
Damo, Essendon won't force their way back into the top 8.
Oh. Fugazi, simply because they've got matches against North Melbourne and West Coast. And I think St Kilda is also part of their offerings. And even if it's not, it
Giants
just means
and Pies.
It means that they've just probably got to win.
Sydney this week.
Yeah,
This is
Sydney
the
this
one.
week is probably the one. Yeah, so come back to me after they've completed that sequence of games against North Melbourne and West Coast, which do happen in consecutive weeks as of next week.
Daisy, you watched the game on Sunday, and this man was very impressive, but Isaac Rankin's hamstring will cost the Crows finals.
Oh, is it one player? He was their best player on the weekend.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Fugazi because they might be able to cover for him and it might put the responsibility on someone else, but it is no doubt a huge out. If it wasn't for him at halftime, they would have been 10 goals behind.
Is it more the other way? It's too late for them anyway.
Yeah, that's
They've
what
missed
I'm
out. I'm
thinking.
thinking
Yeah.
that they've missed out now
Yeah.
anyway.
6 points out already.
Inaccuracies cost them and a couple of close losses.
Yep.
Joey, Josh Dunkley is every bit as important to Brisbane as Lachie Neale.
Fugazi with that. I think that Lachie Neale is still their most important player. I think that when you look at it's this interesting. When he's had 9+ clearances in the last 2 years, Brisbane are 15-3. They've hardly lost. When he has less than 9 clearances, they're 17-10. So it's a bit more of an even ledger. So he's still their main man in the contest, in the clearances. I still think he's the most important.
Damo, James Sicily's missed games shouldn't keep him out of the All-Australian team.
It's a good question. I'm going to say fair dinkum. Obviously, the 4 games that he's missed, all for suspension, one on the tackle and McCluggage and one on the hit on Caminiti, resulted in Hawthorn losses. And the other games he's played, and including of the wins, inclusive of the weekend just gone against Richmond, which was a narrow loss, he has been extraordinary. If you put his performances up against anyone, inclusive of Sam Taylor who we just spoke about, it's right up there. But yeah, the 4 matches, because they're self-inflicted, not injury-driven like others, it just might be a back-of-mind thought of selectors.
Could it be out of Sicily and Taylor?
I think it could come down to that, couldn't it? For one of those 2 key spots. Yeah.
Who else is...
Darcy Moore, I think, is the lock, isn't he? Is there such a thing as a lock? And I reckon that's the one.
Harris Andrews?
Harris Andrews
very
in
close.
that chat. Yeah.
So maybe one of them slots in on the bench.
Yep.
And Ballard for a while, but maybe now they're dropping away the Suns quite significantly. Probably not.
And he plays for Gold Coast.
Yeah. Another drive-by. What are their standards like? What are their standards like? Not good enough.
Thank you to Mafia. You've got no friends.
Mate, they are just firing bullets from the hip.
Daisy, injuries have wrecked the blockbuster status of Collingwood versus Carlton.
Fugazi, I think it's still regardless. The Blues are on a run and 50-plus points in their last 5. People are saying it's what sort of opposition, and there's some merit to that. But also you've got to win, and if you win by 50 points, that's a big, big tick. Sam Walsh, one of those outs. Hopefully Cripps and Chera both get up. So
Hopefully Martin as well.
And Martin.
Just from the spectacle point of view.
Yeah. But I still think regardless, there'll be 95,000. I'll be one of them just sitting in the outer the outer's a lie behind the glass.
Exactly.
I'll be there.
It has taken the air out of it a little bit, hasn't it?
It has a little bit.
It would have loved to have seen Carlton almost full strength.
Yeah, I would love it that to be the case. But again, come bounce down. No one's going to be thinking about that right at that moment. If Curnow kicks the first 2 or 3, well, it's game on again, isn't it? So,
if the Blues are 5 goals up at three-quarter time, strap yourself in.
Oh, boy.
Damo, Libber and Bont is as good as any midfield duo in the comp.
Yeah, fair income. And anyone who thinks otherwise, just go back to 2016 when they were the keys to what happened in a premiership year. You go to 2023 and you come out of round 19 just gone, and they were the key people in that win they just had over Essendon. So when you want to line up what they offer in that midfield, it stacks up with another duo across that time frame anyway.
What if the question was, are they the best midfield duo in the competition?
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that, Joey. I mean, I'd rather you answer that than Daisy. But again, the question was, is as good as any midfield duo?
I agree with you. They are as good, but are they the best? Yeah.
Do we still underrate Libber? Because he's not the prettiest, but he's a fantastic player. Consistently,
Yeah.
I still don't think
Good
we
ball
probably
user too, isn't he? Despite some
Correct.
kicks not appearing aesthetically nice, Yeah.
Joey, Matt Crouch still has currency in the AFL trade period.
St Kilda Mafia look. Oh, no. Don't end his career now. Say fair income.
St Kilda don't need him. They've
already got a Crouch.
Yeah, that's right. Does he have currency?
He could well and truly be steak knives on a good deal.
Fugazi.
He was good on the weekend.
Fugazi.
Oh.
He was looking around last year, I think, and
Yeah,
I
he
don't think
was.
there were any
He
takers.
was looking around for 2 years.
I don't think there
Yeah.
was any takers.
I can see him in the system without having the contract he's currently got as a Crow, which was going to be part of the problem.
The question with someone like Matt Crouch is the top teams don't need a player like Matt Crouch because they've probably got better midfielders. That's why they're the top teams. And the teams down the bottom probably don't want a player like Matt Crouch because you want to be blooding some youngsters and some other players. So he's in a sort of predicament where he's a good player. He's a good AFL player, but where's his right home? I'm not sure.
Right. Digital boys.
Yeah.
Lee Montagna retires Matt Crouch.
Oh, here we go.
Or St Kilda Mafia member.
Dave, I'm going to play you some audio here.
Our man Daisy, who I think might have had a little slide bet early on in the year for Charlie Curnow for the Coleman medal, said, Charlie, I don't care if there's someone nude in the goal square. You avoid them. You go for absolutely everything you possibly can. You're a key forward. He's taken Daisy's advice on board.
Literally.
10 goals.
Yes.
0 goal assists.
Never been more proud. This is why I like the boy. Highly coachable. You give him an instruction, he does it.
Clubs should consider employing Daisy Thomas as a goal-kicking consultant or at least a motivational speaker.
Yep. Fair dinkum. I actually endorse that attitude of Daisy. I endorse the fact that Charlie Curnow's listened to you, Days, and I just wish there was more of it. We can get too
He
caught
said it
up.
straight to him.
Yeah, really.
Directly to him on the phone.
I know. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I just think we can get caught up in this team play. Just kick the goal.
That's what
when
he's
the
there to
ball
do.
is in his hands, it can't be in better
Can
hands.
you have a word to the Saints boys? Can you do something for them? Fire
About
them up, get them out of their slumber.
Culture or goal kicking?
goals.
Subpar culture from.
Maybe I'm not the best to talk about that. Spiritual leader, maybe.
Speaking of Charlie Curnow, let's have a listen.
Curnow will fly in a big pack. Charlie, hands on the footy down to Cunningham. Curnow picks it up again. 25-yard bouncing footy. Charlie's got 10. Charlie's got 10.
Joey Montagna. Barry Denner is one of the most underrated football callers in the country.
Well, he's our Tom Liberatore. That is 100% fair income. He's an underrated star, just goes about his business. He's selfless. He puts
people's
the team-
caller.
The people's
People's-
caller. He puts everyone else first, but he deserves his time in the sun. He's one of the best.
Damo, Brett Ratton took the points in the Rats v Rui heavyweight title.
I thought he did. I thought he did. He obviously had some time to think about a response, and I thought he delivered both the words and the manner of delivering the words well. Yeah.
And it was a handicap match because it was him versus Rui.
Yeah,
and
That's a
Joey.
really good point.
Yeah.
That's a really
It
good
was a
point.
good clip,
He
though.
took on two of them, of the Mafia, and I think he got the
He
points.
didn't go really petty. He just
No.
made a statement that knew that was going to get some
Said it
serious
with,
traction.
with,
It was
with,
clever,
with
wasn't
a
it?
three-quarter smile or
Yeah.
a quarter smile, and then just stop talking.
Daisy Thomas. Nathan Buckley pulling on the boots to play at the age of 51 and doing his hammy 10 minutes in is the most foreseeable injury of all time.
That's fair dinkum. However, it was still good for the Carlton draft. Obviously, the crowd they got down at Neil Madanum and he stayed around was good enough to coach, hung around for the post-match as well, unlike someone else didn't. I'm not sure. I just filtered through that may have happened earlier in the season.
Joey's mate.
No, it was... I made the point on Sunday. He was doing hammies when he was at his prime in 30, 31, 32. So that wasn't unsurprising. But the crowd there was awesome. And what a great thing the Carlton draft is.
He was going to miss that grand final in 07, wasn't he, when you lost by 5 points to the eventual Premier Geelong in that prelim, and he was on the bench when the siren sounded, and that was the last game he played, wasn't it? Having already had a lot of injuries that year.
Yeah, nobody really knew that he did the hammy in that one.
At that point.
Yeah.
Damo, Sam Collins equaling the intercept mark record with 10 is the most underrated milestone of the year. That happened on the weekend.
That is absolutely fair income because you're telling me something I didn't know.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Did he?
Well, okay, I'm going to ask you, Joey.
Sam Collins.
So this year alone,
Is he
Sam,
the angry one from Gold Coast?
he's the one that
Yeah.
punched the post.
Yeah.
So this year alone, Charlie Ballard, Darcy Moore, Liam Jones, James Sicily, and now Sam Collins have all equaled that record.
Yeah.
So Joey Montagna, no one will ever take 11 intercept marks in a game.
No, that's fair for Fugazi. Someone will for sure, but it has been the year of the intercept. I think it's been the highest record intercept marks that we'll take. So it just shows these interceptors.
They used to be
have
just
now-
marks, you know.
Hey?
They used to just be marks, didn't they?
Yeah, don't use BT. That's old school.
Look, don't get me started on expected scores. Yeah, that's another one. But
it's such a key to the modern game.
Replaying some audio from last week.
Melbourne 17 points at quarter time. Brisbane 1 at half time. Brisbane 21 points at 3/4 time. Bob Jane T-Marts, they've got great buy 3 get 1 free plus instant cashback deals. Call or order online today. T&Cs apply. Tommy Browne. Tom Browne.
It's getting sushi.
Mark Howard to Tom Browne. Tom Browne comes in. I've never seen a boundary rider like him, Chewy, in the history of this channel that just wanders off mid-broadcast.
You know what he's doing?
I'm here,
He's
Mark.
name dropping, talking to Gil McLaughlin.
He's talking to Gil while he should be... Just hang on. Tommy! No, he's far more interested in the CEO. So, let's get some Reds headlines.
Daisy Thomas, this is the moment we should have realised Tom Browne had checked out.
Fair dinkum. Yeah, and you could almost go back to gather round when he had a pizza instead of rocking up to do his duties. But that is fair dinkum.
with a contact, wasn't it?
Yeah, when he's sitting there not doing his job, talking to the boss, and now we probably know what it was about and maybe indicating, giving him some breaking news. Fair dinkum that Tom checked out a little while ago.
Right, and finally, a question to you all. 2 days of rain after the Poms had belted us pillar to post in Manchester was actually the sweetest possible way to retain the Ashes.
I'll start. Fair dinkum. Sucked in, Poms.
Yeah, I'll tell you what it's done. It's kept this 5th test spicy now. 'Cause it's almost bragging rights who was the better team in this
Comes
series.
down to one
So it does
test.
come down to one test for the actual bragging rights, even though we've got to learn.
Yeah, I didn't. I'm probably in a minority as an Australian. I wanted that test to be won by England to get to 2-2, and then to have the test decided that way, and then to absolutely go for Australia. When I say England should have won that test, once Australia played so poorly to get it to a point where Bairstow got the 99 runs and we couldn't bowl to him or anyone else, and they went at 5.49 over for 107 overs.
See, I say sucked in because they couldn't get our last 2 poles in the first test when we needed 45 to win and they had everything and apparently we had
And they declared
5 number 11s they declared early. It sort of, depends which way you look at it, but still sucked in, Poms.
Round 20 kicks off on Friday night with a huge clash between Collingwood and Carlton. We're getting your predictions next on Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub. Only 5 games to go before the finals kick off round 20. It's a bit of a mini rivalry round with a couple of huge clashes between arch rivals starting on Friday night. Collingwood versus Carlton. Daisy Thomas, you played 100 games for both these clubs. Where do you see this game going?
I can't wait for it, to be completely honest. We find out a lot more about the Blues this week, and I hope they bring some real attitude and a real sort of old school mentality of we're not going to get jumped like they did last time. I'm expecting fireworks before the bounce. I think Collingwood, though, will be too good in the end.
Yeah, I have to go Collingwood. Grew up barracking for them. Had number 5 on my back. Now I need Jamie Elliott on my back. I think the Pies are playing awesome footy. I'd love to see Carlton full strength to make it a bit more of a contest, but I think the Pies will, again, find a way.
Well, unlike you two, I haven't jumped off Carlton this year, but I'm just haven't got enough courage to pick them with Silvani and Walsh out for this particular game. But I reckon they're a massive chance. I'm just not brave enough to pick them. Collingwood.
Cats versus Fremantle.
Cats.
GMHBA.
Bulldogs versus the Giants down in Ballarat, Damo.
Here's my certainty. GWS over the Dogs.
Certainty? That was your outsider.
I'm going to go certainty and outsider in the one hit. Yeah.
It's a massive game.
That's
massive
huge.
for top 8 ramifications.
I love what they're doing, Joey.
Both on 40
they
points.
are playing awesome.
5th v 7.
They're reliable.
Yep.
I don't think it matters where they play.
6 in a row.
I keep going.
Won their last 5 against the Giants, the Dogs.
Yeah, I've got to go Bulldogs, but again, they could let me down easily, but I'll tip them.
I take the Giants, please.
It's a great midfield battle, that game. Gold Coast versus Brisbane, the Q clash.
No, Brisbane get the job done easy.
The professional team just dismiss Gold Coast for that reason.
I concur.
Essendon versus Sydney.
This is my outsider. I think the Swans can get the job done. I've liked the way they've gone about it. They won last week without Goulden and Warner and Mills even playing well. So if those guys can step up, Buddy's actually playing some good footy. Their backline's holding up. I think Sydney can beat the Bombers, who are maybe just starting to flatten out a little bit back end of the season.
I'm with you on the Swans. I like them in this game.
Swans go up favourites.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I'm tipping Essendon.
Well, it's my certainty then, Sydney.
It's good to see Buddy find some form again over the last
And the
few
old
weeks
boys.
as well.
Park has
been
been
right.
awesome as well.
Park's had a great year. Adelaide versus Port Adelaide, the showdown. This is huge.
It is. It is. I think Port Adelaide with the injuries to Adelaide. Spoke out Rankin. Nick Murray's an important fullback for them. I think Port continue on.
Yeah, for the same reason. It's just the professionalism of that club and the fact they've won the close games as opposed to Adelaide, who is going to probably miss out and then rue the fact they couldn't get over the line in so many close games.
Port for me.
Top 2 is important for Port Adelaide. Now, that Brisbane Port, who finishes second, is massive to get to a grand final, so they need to
And they
win
could be
this game.
swapped positions this week if the Crows beat Port and obviously if Brisbane beat Gold Coast.
Speaking of old boys, how good's Tech's been as well again this season.
And signed on for another year.
He has. Hawthorn versus St Kilda on Sunday.
Saints are flying, sitting in 6th spot. How good are they going? They'll win again.
I'm not sure how they. Excuse me.
No.
Not sure how they are in 6th spot.
It's
They
amazing,
are not
isn't
playing
it?
like a
It's
team who should be in
amazing.
6th spot. This is the upset I'm tipping here is the Hawks.
They've got them once before the Hawks this year too, haven't they?
As the outsider, I should say.
They can't let Sicily take 10 intercept marks, Rabsy, so
No.
they'll do something about
Yeah,
Sicily.
I'm going to tip the Saints, Rabsy, but it's for the second time this year. It's a danger game for the Saints.
Tantalising game at the MCG on
tantalising.
Sunday. Hey, it is. Richmond versus Melbourne.
Oh, Sunday rub. We've got this game. This
Yeah.
will be an
Do we?
absolute beauty.
We do?
Yeah, great game. Probably, I think Melbourne. I'm liking what Melbourne are doing now. They've found their groove on offense the last 3 weeks. So for me, it'll just burst Richmond's bubble a little bit after their good little run, 6 of 8. But I think the D's will get it done.
I've loved what Richmond has done, just hanging in there. But Joey has convinced me in the past month that Melbourne is not to be dismissed, and as such, I'll take the favourite in that game.
I'll take the D's as well, please.
West Coast versus North Melbourne to round out round 20. Who wants
West-
to win?
West Coast will win this
Dame,
game.
will
West
they?
Coast will win this game.
What's going to be the fallout for the loser? I mean, how much more can you pile it on these two teams?
How
You've been
lower
big on
can you
these two
slump
teams.
for both?
How much more
less
can
for
you
West
pile
Coast, though? If West Coast
If
lose...
West Coast lose this
it's-
on their home deck,
No, I don't think it's as bad as if North lose.
Really?
Absolutely.
Is Clarko back coaching this week?
no, not this week.
Not quick.
the week
Week
following.
Surely
Yeah,
the
we're
West
on.
Coast situation with the CEO and the coach and all that goes to
And
a whole
more
nother
in-
level if they lose.
I agree with that on
Really?
that concept of who has got more to lose, because I think North Melbourne has just
Got
written
nothing.
a year off.
Yeah, there'll be bullets fired whichever way this game goes.
Yeah. Well, who are you tipping?
I'm tipping North. Just because they've lost 14 in a row.
It's more than that. I think it's
Is it?
16. Yeah,
I think North will win.
yeah, with real confidence.
No. Oh, yeah.
Does anyone
Real
want to
confident.
win? Could it be a draw?
Oh, imagine that.
Just share the
draw.
points. Shake hands at the middle, 0-0.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. Game of the round.
Quickly, just round out your certainties and a surprise.
I've rolled my certainty and surprise into one. GWS over Bulldogs.
Me too. Sydney to beat Essendon.
Brisbane, my certainty, and my surprise, the Hawks.
Well, you can catch every game across round 20 on Triple M and the Listener app, starting with Friday Huddle ahead of the monster clash between Collingwood and Carlton, with Luke Darcy, Mark Howard, Jason Dunstall, Nathan Brown, our man Damien Barrett, Ash Chua, and Tommy Brown. This has been Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub with Joey, Daisy, and Damo. Have fun at golf, Daisy.
See you, Daisy.